I've got nothing but praise for Roberto De Zerbi, and since he arrived at the club, I feel like he's got pretty much everything right, and one game doesn't change that. But I have to call things as I see him, and I'm sorry, but yesterday, De Zerbi got it horribly wrong against Brentford. And make no mistake about it, we could have lost that game by an absolute cricket score. And in my opinion, we were lucky to come out with just a 3-0 defeat. I think that De Zerbi made 3 huge mistakes yesterday. So let's get into them, starting with the formation. Now, you may say that that's a strange observation considering we played in De Zerbi's preferred system, preferred formation. That variation on a 4-3-3, which looks more like a 4-2-3-1 in practice. But I always felt going into this game, with the personnel available to us, we should have played to our strengths. There's a very famous quote from Sir Alex Ferguson. Back in the day when he was Man United manager, he always used to say to his players, win your home games, get what you can on the road. And that would very much have been my approach to yesterday's game. I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but even before yesterday's game, before the team sheets came out, I was hoping that De Zerbi was going to go with basically a back 5, 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs, because it solves 4 major problems. Number 1, Brentford have got a very big and very physical team. They've got a lot of players that are well over 6 feet tall. 2 giant centre-backs, Collins and Ayer. Igor Thiago is well over 6 feet. I think he's about 6'3". Kevin Schade over 6 feet. And Vitaly Janout are over 6 feet. With the personnel available to us, we needed to at least match that up because of the high ball into the box, the threat from set pieces, the threat from corners. And you saw yesterday that when the high ball went into the box from any one of those scenarios, it was absolute chaos in there. And you know what? We saw it in the World Cup against Norway. When you're massively outgunned in terms of physicality and in terms of height, set pieces and the high ball into the area are a massive problem. And so it came to pass. The second problem that it solved is that Brentford have a very underrated forward line. Their front 3 of Igor Thiago, Kevin Schade and Dango Ouattara are very dangerous, all in different ways. We know that Thiago is a great centre forward, a good target man, a good finisher. Kevin Schade is absolutely lightning quick and deceptively good in the air. Dango Ouattara, again, is quick, but he's also skillful, he's tricky, he floats about and doesn't stay in that right wing position. With the back 5, we could have had an extra body back there to deal with that threat. The third problem it solves is related to that because you don't leave your fullbacks one-on-one with those very dangerous wingers. With a back 4, you had Archie Gray basically one-on-one with Kevin Schade and you had Andy Robertson basically one-on-one with Dango Ouattara. With the back 3, with that extra body back there, you can have one central defender who can basically pick up Igor Thiago and then the other 4 can deal with the wingers. Van Hecke and Archie Gray on the right and then Senesi and Robertson on the left. It massively negates their attacking threat. And the fourth problem that it solves is an attacking one. You've got more of a threat yourselves from set pieces, from high balls into the box, from corners. You know, we got a few free kicks in decent areas with those taller players, with that extra centre-back on the pitch, Danzo, Van Hecke, Senesi. You've got much more of a chance of nicking a goal from a set piece, from a high ball, from a corner. Another thing that I feel De Zerbi should have taken into consideration is that Brentford are a very settled team. They've been together for a while now. They're a very well coached side. They haven't made massive changes over the summer. They brought in that guy Sangare and Jadon Anthony, and Sangare, by the way, was absolutely phenomenal yesterday. But generally, they're a very settled team, and so their relationships on the pitch, their patterns of play, the way the players understand each other's game is going to be much more defined and much more settled than ours because we're basically a new team that have been thrown together. And that's exactly what it looked like yesterday. I felt, going back to that Sir Alex Ferguson quote, get what you can from this game. If you're not going to win it, just don't lose it. And don't lose it heavily like we did yesterday. Now, the second huge error that I feel De Zerbi made was in his player selection because, think about it, in a game like this, your first game of the Premier League season, away at Brentford against a very physical, settled team who play with high tempo, high physicality, high pace. What do you need in there? You need experience. You need players that can put their foot on the ball, take the sting out of the crowd, take the sting out of the opposition, and then try and grow into the game from there. Selecting Lucas Bergvall over Rodrigo Bentancur for this game was an absolute clanger from De Zerbi for me. I mean, it beggars belief, really. Bergvall has got ability. He takes risks in the centre of the park. He can beat a player. He's got quite a nice turn of pace for a centre midfielder. he can handle the physical side of the game, not as well as Bentancur could. But this game was not what Bergval's skill set required. You needed Bentancur in there, a very experienced player, established international, was played for big clubs, just to put his foot on the ball, take the sting out of the game, retain possession, and then grow into the game from there. And let's face it, and look, I don't want to put the boot in too much on the boy because it weren't really his fault, if I'm being honest. He shouldn't have started that game yesterday. But Bergval had an absolute stinker. And Brentford controlled that midfield area from the first whistle until the last. And I'll be honest with you, in the first 10 or 12 minutes up until their first goal, we barely touched the ball. And when we did, it just got turned over straight away and they swarmed us. It was just attack after attack after attack. You needed that experience, that bit of physicality. It was just all wrong. Now, the second crazy selection, and again, I'm not going to stick the boot in on this kid because it wasn't his fault. It was more a consequence of De Zerbi choosing to go with his preferred formation and try and match Brentford up. But the selection of Mikey Moore on that right-hand side, I mean, he was the only option available. So, again, not his fault whatsoever. It's down to the manager. But he was like a rabbit in the headlights. And you know what? One thing I've learned over the years is that pre-season means absolutely nothing. They're basically monetised training sessions. They're glorified fitness exercises. A pre-season game bears absolutely no resemblance to a top-level competitive Premier League fixture. And so, Mikey Moore, yes, he's looked great in pre-season. He looked great against Hoffenheim, but it just has no resemblance to a competitive game of football. And he was absolutely anonymous in the first half. You could see, I'm surprised he even came out for the second half, but you could see with those couple of chances he had in the second half, his confidence was completely drained. And I have to be honest, I reckon when those team sheets came out and Keith Andrews saw Mikey Moore's name on the team sheet, he probably absolutely licked his lips and he probably walked straight over to Keane Lewis Potter and said, "You can absolutely dominate this guy." You know, I was expecting Rico Henry to play at fullback. And now, Rico Henry's a very good fullback, but he does pretty much go in straight lines. He doesn't really come off that left-hand side. Keane Lewis Potter, he's not a brilliant player, but he's very versatile. He can play in multiple positions. And you saw it yesterday. He pops up in centre midfield. He pops up on the right-hand side. He pops up at centre forward. He pops up on the left wing. He was absolutely everywhere. And when you're up against a player, I mean, that is essentially Mikey Moore's player to deal with defensively. And when you're a young, inexperienced player and you've got a seasoned Premier League player doing those sorts of things, moving all over the pitch, absolutely schooling you, you've got no answer for it. And so De Zerbi threw Mikey Moore to the Wolves. The third selection, which I thought was completely mad, and again, I think it's because he's looked good in pre-season, but the selection of Richarlison over Dom Solanke made absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. In a game like that, up against two physical centre-backs, what do you need? You need a player that's going to fight for the ball, back into those centre-halves, have a fighting chance of making the ball stick, and then your team can play from there. We all know Richarlison can't trap a bag of cement. He's got the first touch of a donkey wearing steel toe cap boots. And every time the ball came into him, he either lost the ball, miscontrolled it, or he got absolutely beasted by Collins or Ayer. It was a bizarre selection. I'm really surprised that De Zerbi, in my opinion, got it so badly wrong. And then finally, De Zerbi compounded that mistake with selecting Richarlison by playing Conor Gallagher basically up alongside him, like basically as a support striker rather than a central midfielder. I think the idea was for Gallagher to be the high pressing number 10, but that system just never got going. You know, we tried to press in areas, but it wasn't coordinated. It was just basically one or two players trying to close down the ball. There was no coordination. And look, that will come. I'm not trying to be too harsh here because I know we're a very new team, but I was expecting a lot better yesterday. And Conor Gallagher up alongside Richarlison, again, Gallagher is a player whose qualities are off the ball. You don't get much quality from Gallagher on the ball. He can arrive late into the box, he can press well, he can tackle well, he can close players down. But with the ball at his feet or when receiving the ball, he's just not up to standard. And the third huge mistake I think De Zerbi made yesterday was his tactics. Look, we know that De Zerbi likes to play out from the back. Brentford would have known that. Every manager in the Premier League knows that. But the way he tried to do it was so predictable. And we played right into Brentford's hands. And you could see that they had prepared for us to do that. Because what they'd done is that when Kinski had the ball at his feet, either from a goal kick or in open play, Brentford just committed everyone extremely high. They pressed extremely high and they basically went man for man with every single player. The only space they left was in that little pocket behind the midfield and in front of the defence, where, guess what, Richarlison and Gallagher are. Keith Andrews, I suspect, said to his players, look, go and press high, don't let Tonali especially receive the ball from the goalkeeper and allow him to turn, and they've done that very, very well. But if you're going to give them an option, let them clip it towards Richarlison and Gallagher, because those two are not good enough at receiving the ball, and if they do manage to get it under control, our two centre-backs will take care of them. And that's exactly what happened. Now, this was happening very early in the game. You could see it. Tonali was being very tightly marked, so he couldn't receive the ball. Sometimes Bergvall was managing to break free, but then it was him coming short to have to receive the ball. And like I said earlier, he just hasn't got the quality to play that role. Bentancur would have been much better suited. Bergvall was receiving the ball, he was turning, and then rather than trying to play a nice pass out to someone, and there weren't many options, he was trying to beat people in the middle of the field. He was getting caught on the ball was being turned over, and Brentford were just swarming forward time after time. Now, it's all well and good, okay? If you can see that happening early in the game, and that's been your strategy to just drop deep, play out from the back, and you can see what Brentford are doing and pressing higher, you've got to do something to change it. You could rotate Archie Gray with Tonali and switch him over. Tonali could go over to right back. Gray could go into the middle, confuse Brentford a little bit, and then allow either Gray or Tonali to receive the ball. Likewise with Robertson or Bergvall. There's things you can do to try and change that. Richarlison could have floated over to the left and doubled up on Coyote with Matisse Tell. Play the percentages. Kinski can hit that pass out to those two. It's only Coyote defending it. You pick up the loose ball and you play from there. It's not ideal. There's several ways you can do it, but De Zerbi didn't do anything to change it, and it just happened time after time after time, and we just got dominated from the first whistle to the last. Now, I tried very hard to find some positives in yesterday's performance, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, there wasn't much to sing about, if I'm being honest, but two things that I noticed. I thought, number one, Andy Robertson showed glimpses of what we can expect from him going forward. He was making some good runs forward. His defending was pretty good. He put a couple of nice balls into the box. I think he's going to be a real asset for us this season. I'm really, really glad we've got him. And number two was Matheus Fernandes. I thought when he come on in the second half, I don't think he's quite fully fit yet, but you can see he's brave, he's courageous. He was dropping in, demanding the ball, trying to make things happen. And then when he did have the ball at his feet, he produced, small moments of quality, some nice passes, trying to create some opportunities, tried to have a couple of shots at goal. Again, he's going to be a really, really good player for us this season. When he gets up to full speed, when he gets into that first 11, I expect him to do some really, really big things. And I think De Zerbi will improve him even further, and he's going to be a real, real asset to the team. And so that's the long and short of it. That's my assessment of yesterday's game. And look, again, I want to make it clear, I've got nothing but praise for Roberto De Zerbi. It was a bad day at the office. I believe he got it badly wrong. But look, De Zerbi's a smart guy. He will learn some big lessons from that game yesterday, and I've got no doubt whatsoever that when we run out against Newcastle next week at home, we're going to put in a much, much improved performance. So this week, it's not ideal, first game of the season, but let's just take our medicine, forget about this game, start preparing for the Newcastle game. Let's go into that one full of confidence and ready to give our home crowd a big, big performance and get our season off to a delayed but good start. Thanks for watching.